There are moments in relationships that brand themselves into your memory, not because they're sweet or heartwarming, but because they tear away the illusion you thought you were living in. For me, that moment came one chilly Friday evening when my car gave out on the side of the road. It was supposed to be a simple night. Dinner with some of her friends, maybe a couple of drinks, and then home. I had worked all week, exhausted but excited to see her. She'd been nagging me about meeting this group for weeks, saying they were like family, and I finally agreed. Everything was fine until we were halfway there and my car began to sputter. A flashing light appeared on the dashboard, and the engine made a sickening noise. I pulled to the side, heart sinking. "What's happening?" she asked, already annoyed. "I think something's wrong with the engine," I muttered, trying the ignition again. Nothing. She groaned, slumping back in her seat. Of course this would happen tonight. I gritted my teeth, stepped out, and popped the hood. Steam hissed, the acrid smell of oil filling my nose. My car wasn't new. It had given me trouble before. But this felt different. Worse. As I fiddled with wires I barely understood, headlights appeared behind us. Her friends. They pulled over, all of them piling out with laughter and chatter. And then she did it. She rolled her eyes, threw her hands up dramatically, and said in front of everyone, "This is exactly what it's like dating him. Everything's always breaking down, nothing ever works, and I always end up stuck." Laughter rippled through the group. One of her friends smirked. Another muttered something about getting a real car. And she just stood there, arms crossed, grinning as if she'd told the joke of the night. I froze. Her words hit harder than the cold air biting my skin. My chest tightened, my face burned, and suddenly, the steam from the engine wasn't the only thing clouding my vision. I wanted to say something, to defend myself, but the words stuck in my throat. All I could think about was how easily she had reduced me to a punchline. Not in private, not in a quiet argument, but in front of everyone. I swallowed hard, forced a tight smile, and went back to staring under the hood. One of her friends came over to help, offering half-baked advice while the others laughed and joked with her. She didn't come over. She didn't ask if I was okay. She just stayed with them, basking in their attention. Eventually, I called for a tow truck. We all piled into her friend's car and rode the rest of the way to the restaurant. She sat next to me, scrolling on her phone, not once acknowledging what she'd said. At dinner, she acted like nothing happened. She laughed, told stories, even leaned into me once or twice for show. But I felt hollow. Every word she'd spoken on the side of the road echoed louder than the conversations around me. This is exactly what it's like dating him. I barely touched my food. I couldn't shake the humiliation. When we finally got home, I confronted her. "Why would you say that?" I asked. My voice cracked, but I didn't care. "Say what?" she replied, already irritated. "You know what?" "About me, about the car, in front of your friends," she scoffed. "Oh my God, you're seriously upset about that?" It was a joke. Everyone laughed. "It's not that deep." "It humiliated me," I said quietly. She rolled her eyes again. "You're too sensitive. If you can't take a joke, that's on you." But it wasn't a joke to me. It was a glimpse of how she saw me. Over the next few days, the tension grew. She brushed it off every time I brought it up. "You're overreacting. You're paranoid. You can't handle a little teasing." But I knew the truth. There's a fine line between teasing and disrespect, and she had crossed it in front of an audience, and I couldn't unhear it. Weeks later, I realized that moment wasn't an accident. It was a reflection of how little she valued me, how easily she could turn me into a punchline when it benefited her. Because love doesn't roll its eyes at you when you're struggling. Love doesn't laugh with a crowd while you stand humiliated. Love doesn't reduce you to a breakdown when you're already on the side of the road, trying your best. So when people ask me why we broke up, I don't tell them about the car. I don't tell them about the party or the restaurant afterward. I just say, because eventually, you realize the person who's supposed to stand beside you is actually standing with everyone else, against you. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. That night, when my car broke down, it wasn't the engine that finally gave out. It was my patience, my trust, and maybe even my love.